what the demand on the internet is going to be like over the next month.
I know.
Mm.
Yep.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
How is everybody?
We're hanging in there.
Anybody got the cough?
No.
That'd be Dr. Bull. He sprays everything down. You go in his office and he's spraying you with Lysol.
Yeah, he Lysol me today.
I know. I felt so bad.
Like a snail with salt on me. Only old people get that reference. Kids don't do that anymore. That's probably a good thing.
We will find. We will find. We have to find a sense of humor.
Oh, yeah.
We do. So.
Yeah.
Lamb, that reminds me, I can remember as a little boy, the old people, their coats and things smelled like mothballs. After, you could smell them at church.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. My wife asked me the other day, what do you do for moths? I said, you get mothballs. She said, oh, yeah, I remember that.
You don't hear of that anymore, but when we were young, that's all they used.
Oh, yeah. She said, I don't want my clothes to smell like grandma's. I said, well, I can't keep the moths off my clothes.
Now, I use mothballs to keep away snakes.
Yeah, I've heard that.
That's what I use them for.
I was in a rant about snakes earlier today. Everywhere you go, there's a snake now. I don't know. I guess it's the warmness. We didn't have really a hard winter. Snakes are already out. Not a big fan, but not too bad.
I like that picture in your office, Miss Dr. Stone.
Yeah.
What's he got? Let me find his. Oh. Yeah, he's muted himself. Somebody unmute him.
I'm in my apartment.
Oh, he's in his apartment. Oh.
Yeah.
Where's that picture from?
Yeah.
Goodwill.
Did you get that? Did you get that in China?
Nope, got it from Goodwill.
Right from Goodwill. All right. Glad you're going all out on decorating. All right. I see everybody's here, and so I want to welcome everybody. Let me make sure we're recording tonight. Thank you for coming tonight. It's kind of a hectic time. I've asked Dr. Bull to lead us off tonight. I think he's going to pray for us. I need that. I could use some churching up. Pray for us, and then I think he's got some comments he wants to start with. So thank you, Dr. Bull, for being here.
Well, thanks for the spontaneity. And always be ready. So let us pray. Heavenly Father, I will call upon you this day as we meet to deliberate the mission and vision of God, our candidates, faculty, and staff who are doing very well.
I got a meeting and then class.
The mission of the university. Lord, we pray for the world in general as we go through this virus, that you may continue to protect and guide our leaders across the world, that they may come up with policies and actions that will settle everybody and would move away to eradicate the coronavirus. I want to thank the faculty members who are present here today who are doing the work at Gardner Webb to meet the dreams of our students who've selected us for their professional goals. I want to thank you for bringing us safely to this meeting, and as we leave, may you continue to put the blood around us all and to protect us all as we go into our separate ways to continue to do the work that we are called upon to do, which is to serve God and humanity. This we ask to Christ our Lord. Amen.
Amen.
Am I first on your agenda too?
You are.
Okay, well.
You're a busy man. We don't keep you all night. It may stay till dark.
It's okay. It's okay. First of all, I just want to thank you all, first of all, for what you've done and continue to do for Gardner Webb as we settle down at this trying time. We all at this point in time outside of the work that we do for Gardner Webb are thinking of ways to protect ourselves, our families, and now we need to start thinking as to where the next meal or the next food or the next thing will come from. And we're also thinking about friends and relatives from across the country and those who travel. But I just want to assure you that, you know, at this time, this is where you see the value of what you've done. When everybody else is struggling to make a transition to online teaching and everybody else is trying to figure out what they've been doing, the MELS program is one that would say, we did not skip a beat. It's business as usual as we move forward. But also we need to look at our candidates who are with us. And there are two sides to it. They are thinking about their students, they are thinking about their colleagues, and they are thinking about a shift that has happened in their lives that they were not prepared for. In the same vein, when it's all said and done for them, they may settle down to do the work that you normally give them to do. So we need to be mindful of that. I always talk about compassionate rigor. We need to be mindful of what they're going through, and we cannot say now they're out of school, therefore let's increase the pace of the work and give them tenfold what they need to do. Let's be mindful as we have conversations with them, and I think we need to, for every class that you teach, I think it's important that you spend the first 5 or 10 minutes discussing the state of the world right now. I think it's important, you know, going back to Maslow's hierarchy of needs. It's not about academics right now. It's about basics of life. People are still scrambling to find toilet tissues, paper towels, and necessities of life. People are struggling to find food, making sure they have enough money in hand. People have part-time jobs, have lost those part-time jobs to make ends meet. And so the psychological, emotional piece that they're going through is significant. Academic is the last thing that they are thinking about right now. For some of these folks who have children, who right now they have to deal with kids at home and all of those things. So I say all that to say, let's be mindful of the state of things and let's adjust accordingly to meet their needs. And in the same vein, we are aware of you all as adjuncts that, you know, you all may have private consultancy and things that you're doing. And if those are per hour for pay, it's a struggle for you. We want to assure you that Gardner Web will continue and you will get paid, because whenever folks ask me, should we come to work? I said the last time I checked, payroll folks were in the office. So that's my answer. So if payroll is coming to make sure you get paid, I'm sure you should be here to make sure you earn the pay. And so I say that to say, let's all continue to do due diligence. And if by some reason your life is affected directly or indirectly by the events of what is going on, please communicate that immediately to Dr. Lamb, who's banned from coming to the office. I put him on a lockdown. He cannot come to the office. He is on a permanent lockdown. And I had to chase him out today out of the building because he was in the vicinity. But that applies to everybody. And I know it's an honor system. And you guys will treat it the way it should be, because we do respect you and you respect Gardner Web and you respect your students as they go through. So that is my message to you all. It's a message of hope. And it's a message of moving into the summer of what we're going to do, and we will try as best as we can to make sure the needs of all adjuncts are met. Today is the final date for textbooks, Dr. Lamb, and I know you're on top of it, so I know.
I ordered everybody's last week.
I see he's always on top of the game. But that's all I want to say. I just don't want to belabor the point, but I just want to assure you all is well with Gardner Web. And we're going to continue with the mission to serve God and humanity. And at this point, I turn it over to Dr. Lamb. And I will just listen. And are there any questions or comments related to this piece? Because I think the first topic should be the corona, the state of the United States, the state of the world, and for us to discuss what our feelings are, our anxiety, our concerns at this time. So I turn it over to you, Dr. Lamb.
Thank you. As Dr. Bull said, normally at the beginning of all of our classes, I know everybody does a 5-minute review. Let me do a share. those of you who've had the displeasure of having to work with me. If you don't do it this week, make sure you do it. Start out with your weekly schedule and any corrections, additions, modifications that you might have to the weekly schedule. So start out with it. That helps allay their fears, and then that would lead you into that discussion about world events and what's going on. And so make sure that you cover your weekly schedule first this week, kind of pace out what's going to happen the rest of the semester. That leads you into the coronavirus discussion, which leads you into the next phase of, you know, that we have students who are working PLCs for each of their evidences. They can work those virtually using Zoom, and they can continue to do case studies and those things using Zoom. The real issue is going to be discussion board activity. So I've gone ahead and pulled that one up as well. Let me get rid of that. Go here. For example, in 603, they should be up to week 8 now. Interview the chair of their intervention team, interview an administrator concerning HR practices, interview an administrator concerning HR, employee assistance, facilities walkthrough, school fundraising interview 5 most important steps in budget. So as you can see, just like in 603, and I know in 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, everybody's got the same thing, kind of coming and going to and fro activities that add value for our candidates. We'll have to just adjust those. If they can't do them virtually, we'll just have to take their word that they can't do them virtually, since all schools are now closed. So make sure you address these. I can get my shared stop here. Go back. And so that's how I'm going to start Wednesday night when Jackie, Doug, and I are on. We're going to start out with a weekly schedule. We'll talk about Corona. Then we'll move. That sets up our discussion on discussion boards, the expectations that they may have to modify some of those things. And then that will lead us into their PLC work, their evidences, and then in the end, we'll end with what's going to be the most difficult discussion in terms of work is their clinical hours. They're wetting their pants. They're calling, they're emailing. How am I going to get my 80 hours in? Well, if school's not open, that's kind of hard. At this point, we're quite sure that DPI will make some adjudication, adjustment, interpolation. I don't know what that will be, but it's the same for all clinical programs. It's student teaching. There's a lot of that kind of all rolled together. But as I said in the announcement for this meeting, we will not support leaving their district to try to get hours. That's probably not relevant now that everybody's closed, but during the time when some were open and some were closed, I'd already had some get in touch with me about could they go to another district. That would be a no. They can go to another school in their own district. See, they're employees of that district. That's the issue. As we have found before, if they try to go to a different district, then they have to go through the same clinical placement as a student teacher. It's quite expensive. Dr. Bull's got money, but not that much money. We couldn't do that. We've got 300 or so students. Could you imagine if we spent $1,500 a piece on them, getting them to go somewhere? And it's about $1,500. Time you do background checks and the medical checks and all those things, it's way more than we can even afford to begin to look at for them to go to another district to work on their clinical hours. So we'll just have to tell them, get what you can. You got what you got. We warned them 4 weeks ago that this was likely to happen. You know, if they took advantage of it and got their hours, fine. If they didn't. Now, I had a student ask me, would there be an extension? Well, if you're finishing in May, there can't be an extension. We can put you in 699, but you won't graduate. So we'll make some accommodation on clinical hours, but kind of work them through the process I want compassionate rigor. I like that from Dr. Bull. We got to keep them focused on the work. Start out with the weekly schedule, where we are. You know, we can then talk about the coronavirus, and then we can talk about the adjustments, discussion board activities. There shouldn't be a lot of adjusting on their evidences or the case studies. They can do those virtually. But the biggest concern they're going to have is their 80 clinical hours. We'll figure something out along the way. Now, if they've had half a semester, if they turn in 12 hours out of 80, I'm not going to be happy. You know, they should have somewhere around 40 hours. They may not have the whole 80, but if they've got 40, I think they'll be fine. Because I don't foresee that they'll be going back to school in any reasonable amount of time that they can get any more hours for this semester. Remembering that those hours, they've got to be done with those hours like April 27th. It's only like 5 weeks. And so I have no idea that if they'll be back in school or what will be happening in 5 weeks. And so at this point, I'm not going to say, well, don't worry about it. You can catch them up later. No, we'll make an adjustment because then they'll be worried about, well, if my school district doesn't go back. So we'll just make some adjustment on that.
Dale, I have a question that's come up with my students in terms of some of those clinical hours with some of the work that's being done, and particularly the leadership needed in transferring to virtual instruction. So I'm assuming that that's fine if they can document those.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. I'm sure all of you got that email from Dr. Leslie on Saturday about converting over to virtual for the undergraduates at Gardner-Webb. It's quite a laundry list of activities that, you know, and I'm sure that that's the same kind of thing that's come out from school districts that they're asking for help with in different areas for school districts. I don't know who's going to help all those folks at Gardner-Webb. Many of them don't have their Blackboard shells built out, and if they do, they've just built them out for face-to-face, just enough to use Grade Center. I don't know, and then they don't know not to put videos in Blackboard. They don't know how to use Link, Zoom, or YouTube. And I looked at that list, and here's the list. And so this is a wonderful, I hope y'all all got that email. It's a wonderful laundry list of things that our students can certainly be involved with. Let me go back here.
Dale, while you're looking for that, one student had asked me, or an intern had asked me, could they use these things that are coming from the governor and the state superintendent, these video things, watching them? And I would assume yes.
Absolutely.
Information, and you know, I know we've got to be a little bit creative, but that not the average student doesn't review that
Right.
person in the leadership role. So
Right.
those links come down. I told them to record that, and when these board meetings are,
Yes.
CMS had a board meeting, and it was
Yes.
taped to listen in on some of those things and log those as hours.
Exactly. And so here is this list that they sent out with all the different things that faculty is going to be asked to do. And they can watch videos they can keep up with this. I mean, a lot of that, they can get hours from home, or if they're helping colleagues virtually, if they know how, since our crowd all knows how to use Zoom. And I'm guessing that a lot of their colleagues that they teach with don't know how to use a platform like Blackboard. That's what I'm talking about. All these things here that Dr. Leslie put out, somebody's got to do this stuff. Now, as I said,
I'm sorry to interrupt, but I just have to do a shout out and a thank you to you. I don't know if this is true for other folks, but for me, I have become this vital technological resource, which people who know me well find hilarious. But because of my comfort with Zoom, because of you and Gardner-Webb, we're able to do that. And it's way less stressful, I think, for all of us on here tonight than it's for a lot of our colleagues. So I just want to say thank you.
Thank you. I mean, it's business as usual for us. This is what we do every day. And we have a lot of skills, and our students, by extension, have a lot of skills. And just that list of things that they're going to need to do at Gardner-Webb for the undergraduate faculty, we have people there who do that every day. Our students, our candidates do it every day. They know how to use a learning platform. They know how to use TaskStream. They know how to use Blackboard. They know how to use Zoom. They know how to upload videos and just put up the links in and not have to actually upload the video into the learning platform. They know all these things. Our students could be a big help in their schools when they're all tasked to go virtual. I mean, when I read through that list on Saturday, and I thought, I've seen that bunch at our place. I'd rather try to teach a monkey how to play chess than to work with them on this. And so it's going to be an ordeal. I am not volunteering. Let me tell you, I'm in hiding. I am not volunteering because it's going to be an unbelievable task in a compressed amount of time. I mean, you think about how long it's taken us to learn this stuff and to get good at it and to get where we can use, Zoom like a smart board. It didn't happen overnight. I mean, we've been working on this for years and getting better and training and adding new functions and, doing QM Blackboard shells and developing, evolving, learning how to use all the functions. And they're supposed to be ready by tomorrow. They started Saturday. They're supposed to be ready by tomorrow.
Dr. Lamb, may I say something?
Yeah.
Dr. Hamilton had posed a question, but I think that this may help with that. All of us that are teaching 601 and the add-on, in the APTEL, this is a golden opportunity for them to actually put into practice what they're researching and doing, the teacher empowerment and leadership part of it. And it goes back to them having to develop virtual lessons and work with, they actually can volunteer with their administration to take on a lead role
Absolutely.
virtually with teachers. And as far as they can't do walkthroughs because they're not there, but we'll just have to be creative with them working virtually with teachers and doing those kinds of things. And in their narrative work, they can just explain those kinds of things, and that will have to serve in lieu of what they would have actually done back at the school. So that's a part of the creativity that we can look at, and we can let them know that these are things that they can do tomorrow night.
Yeah, I mean, they can help design virtual lessons with these teachers.
Yes.
Would be just as have value, just like doing walkthroughs.
And all of this we can put in, they can do in their narrative work with the APTEL.
Absolutely.
I do have a question in regards to that. If we're going to be allowing them to be creative, and they're going to use some different platforms and some different avenues to document and go through the activity of the evidences, does that need to be addressed in the narrative? I've thought about that on two sides. I mean, it's important for the reader to know, and maybe for documentation purposes, know that this is kind of an unprecedented situation. Should it be documented in their narrative, since there's going to be some changes to what may even reflect what we're going to look at in the rubric, or should they just kind of go on business as usual and not even mention it?
I'd say that we could that they ought to write a disclaimer at the very beginning that school was closed down during the time this was developed, and then business as usual. Just make a short statement. They don't have to explain every time. I had to do this because of that. Just one general statement at the beginning. This evidence was developed during the time that school was shut down due to the coronavirus, and I think after that, I don't want them to focus too much on the coronavirus. I want them to focus more on their work. But I think that's a valid point that we could have them put a disclaimer in.
Dr. Lamb will remember, those of us on the East Coast, we had to be very creative with both hurricanes with those two, because we had schools that were literally closed down for 5 and 6 weeks. Dr. Hamilton, New Hanover County. I mean, we've dealt with those kinds of things with the hurricane. So it's very similar.
Yeah, it is.
As far as the work ethic is concerned.
Yeah. This is not our first rodeo. We've done this twice already, where we had folks with schools out for 2 months in districts, and so they're varying times. Yeah, and so I think that's all we did was had them put a disclaimer: my school was closed. It's what we did before, and so yes, and so I know you all know how to adapt and adjust, especially if you have assignments like we have in 603 that require them to go and do, and they can attempt to do those virtually. They can send links and still do those. And if they can't, they can't. But you know, we want to try to maintain as much normalcy as possible, not only for the program, but for them. You know, in times like this, people are looking for institutions to be normal, and gives them a chance to, you know, to relax a little bit, and not worry so much. And so I'm certainly hoping that I'll have a good crowd online Wednesday night. We'll see how it goes. I'm hoping that our numbers won't drop. And I know Danny and Robin and Kathy and Jamal will be on tomorrow night. I'll probably try to flash into those and see how those look. Start monitoring the numbers and see how that goes. Ours were on spring break last week. I still got normal amount of work. We kept up with grading and task stream. I graded a couple of marks. I think he sent one back and I looked at it. But no, the work's good. The workflow seemed to stay where it needed to be. I've graded today. I had work come in last night, even though they were off last week. And so I'm hoping that nobody's that far behind or going, you know, is so busy they can't continue on. But we'll work with those one at a time.
Well, some of the students took advantage of.
Oh yeah.
With the AppTel, I've had students to send work in where they've done walkthroughs and been doing some things. So I think some of them may be better off than what we realize, having had this couple of weeks to work on some things.
We gave them the heads up,
Yeah.
2 or 3 weeks ago, and told them you need to get out there. That this was coming. And get their hours. We gave them the heads up on their hours. We talked about this, and so I think ours they're pretty much on the ball, and so I think we'll be good. I'm not worried too much about that. We'll have individual cases. I know Malia's on. I see Malia's online with us. I know she's got one right now. Her and Kelly have got one, but that was I think an automobile accident that's causing that issue. Just one of those things. But yeah, but I haven't seen a lot of that come across my email.
The ones we'll have issues with, whether we had a coronavirus or not.
That's exactly right. If they'd had a hangnail, some of them would have had problems. I know. I know. Some of them, yeah, it wouldn't have mattered. That's exactly right. But we have to have compassion, you know.
Right.
Again, their mama sent the best ones they had. They didn't keep the best ones at home. It's our job to work with them. That's what we do. And, you know,
Dale, I have to say, this is Malia. That is my favorite line that you ever give.
Oh, well, you know, it becomes more relevant every year as more and more people flee public school. It becomes more and more relevant in terms of, you can't, just like in the early days of comparative accountability, we'll just let the smart ones cover for the dumb ones. It doesn't work that way. Not anymore. And so Mark remembers when I was a high school principal, that was literally our policy, is we've got enough smart ones to cover. I remember Jimmy Poole at North, and I said, Jimmy, when they open Hopewell, your place is going to become a prison camp. Wait and see. And Jimmy stayed 1 year and retired. That's absolutely. That's exactly. And he was the one screaming and yelling, oh, we don't have to worry about these low kids. We got enough high ones to cover until the new high school opened in his district. And all of a sudden, he was principal at a low performing school. And his response was to immediately retire and take to editorial board and scream and yell and holler at everybody that came by. Acted a complete ass. After being told for 5 years, this is coming. This is coming, Jimmy. Oh, no, we don't have to worry about them. Well, it's here now, and these are the students that we have, and these are the folks that we have. It's all hand in glove, part and parcel. And so our responsibility, if we take people's money, it's our responsibility to do the best we can with them. Whether it's public school or whether it's Gardner Webb training people to work in public school. That's our responsibility. Yeah. Robin just pointed out, one of the other dumb things. Now, you know, I have a poster that the first cohort in the new iteration of MELS that started in 2010 made a poster because I stayed with them for 2 years of all the stupid things I say. They made a whole poster. It had 25 on it. And so we've got some new ones that have come up lately, but yeah, I know.
That is not a stupid thing. That is no truer statement ever said. I'm telling you, I love it. I use it all the time.
Yeah.
I'll say, as Dale Lamb says, we don't need a bunch of solutions looking for problems. That's not my problem.
Mm-hmm.
Steve Marie just said the one I like. You can't make this stuff
Can't
up.
make this up. That's one now that's the one I've been hitting.
That is the official line. There's a T-shirt for that. You cannot make this up.
Yeah, but they ordered a medium. That's the problem. The shirt was a medium. So you'll never see me in it. Oh yeah. That's part and parcel of the true story too, but that's another for another day. Well, I see our 30 minutes is up. I appreciate you joining me today. As always, I'm proud to be here. I'm proud to be a part of this group. I think we do good things. Students seem to think so. We've got a lot of good comments lately, all the hard work that you folks are doing. We're caught up. We're staying up with, the grading is doing extremely well. Everybody's grading on a quick turnaround. Task Stream's going good. Some of the best scores I've ever seen in Task Stream this time. The 603s are killing it. I don't know why. Can't be having anything to do with me, but some of the best work I've seen in 603 in the OMA, it's no longer the one that's far behind the others. And so it's just, good instructions happening. I do have the summer schedule, the initial one made. I won't release it yet because we're still in a little limbo about classes this summer. We'll need to get through another couple of weeks, and then I'll release it. But I do have it. I did order the textbooks last week, and so we're on for summer, and we'll see how things go. I don't want to put out a schedule, and as soon as I do, it get countermanded. But I do have the summer schedule made, and I'll share that with you. I plan to meet again in 2 weeks and share it. We should know more then. If something comes up and we need to meet next Monday, I'll let you know. But if not, I appreciate everybody joining tonight. It's good to have you.
Gail, can I remind folks that they're going to get an invitation?
Yeah.
The meeting tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. This is site supervisors. I know many of you are teaching. That's fine. I'm going to tape it and send it out to you later, but look for an invitation in the morning. We'd love to have you. It's going to be a very quick little brief meeting to go with site coordinators, kind of to bring them up to speed where we are and talk about the program.
And it's timely as well that they may can share some things with us.
And Dr. Bull, I'd like for you to lead it off with prayer, and Dr. Lamb maybe kind of give an update of where we are.
We'll do that.
Okay, just send me a reminder, and I definitely will be there.
Yeah, we're going to be with our collaborative partners. I know you all got Steve will send out again. If not, he'll send it to me and I'll send it out. We're meeting with everybody's site supervisor tomorrow night. I don't know how many will show up. It's especially timely now during what's going on. It may be that they're busy, but give us a chance if they have anything that they need to share with us. It'd be a perfect time for that. All right. Thank you. I'll see you soon.
Thank you so much. Good night.
All right.